What up, Long Beach? Welcome back to your home for everything local sports. It's JJ.
And Mike, and this video is brought to you by Naples Rib Company, the perfect place to cater your team's next event.
High school football season, the regular one, is wrapping up. The postseason coming around the corner. But if we're looking back on the regular season of local high school football here in the Long Beach area, I have to say we had the predictable powerhouses and the surprising seasons from kind of the secondary schools. We'll start with the predictable powerhouses because at the end of the day, Poly and Bosco are kind of where we thought they would be. Let's start with Long Beach Poly Jackrabbits, finishing their year with a non-league game against Serra of Gardena.
This is kind of an interesting playoff preview. I think a lot of people are going to be looking at this game because these are two playoff teams, two teams who sort of clinched spots already in the Division I playoffs, playing in a non-league game. So it's kind of our first Division I playoff game, although it won't technically end anybody's season. I think it will give both teams a much better look at what they're going to be like going into those playoffs. The big news for Serra has been the return of quarterback Blaze McKibben. The junior was sensational before what looked to me like it was going to be a season-ending injury with a lacerated kidney that had him throwing up blood and in the ER after a game, but he has been cleared. He did play a little bit last week. And it sounds to us like he'll be, sort of full force going forward against Poly this week.
Serra, number 34 in the state, so like Mike said, a good test for the Jackrabbits going into the playoffs. The Jackrabbits coming off of that dominant Moore League run. Do you think that the dominant Moore League run or maybe a closer game against Serra gets Poly more confident?
I think that they kind of need that almost, to be honest with you. I think if they come in and sort of struggle against Serra, well, Serra's not a ranked team. There's 8 teams in CIF Division I ranked ahead of Poly. If you're a Poly fan and you're thinking these guys have got a shot to kind of upset these top teams, well, then they really do need to come out and build that confidence by kind of dominating a Serra team that is very talented, but at the end of the day is only 5-4 overall right now.
Poly going to be a little short-handed on the outside offensively. They're going to be without wide receiver Jalen Hall, who got 2 unsportsmanlike penalties last week because of the Morris Day in the Time robe that the Jackrabbits wore after big plays.
Only one of them was actually because of the robe. The second one was after a backwards somersault into the end zone. Yeah, when you have to write a story saying a team you cover is going to be missing an All-American, it's not usually because of celebration penalties, but that is what happened.
I think we need to say, though, Jalen didn't have the robe in his back pocket, a la T.O.
Right.
and the pen. He didn't take it out and put it on in the end zone. Somebody else from the sideline brought him that, and he wore the penalty. I feel like we need to say that. I'm not saying the pimp robe is okay, but it's definitely not okay to have on the field.
Just to back it up even a little further than that, right? They had this is something all the college teams are doing now, right? They've got like the big play crown or like the turnover chain or whatever. So Poly brought that to the sideline. That's what they were going to do. Made a huge mistake, obviously, in not sort of understanding the rules of, hey, we can do anything between the 35 and the 35. That's our area. And having a kid run out onto the field with that, and you can imagine that the Lakewood fans in the stands were not really pleased to see that on the end zone, nor were the officials, and understandably so. But you make a good point. And I wish I had video of this because I feel like my video ends up being a little harsher on Jalen than it was. He's just sort of doing regular celebrations in the end zone, and then someone comes and puts the robe sort of over his shoulders. The flag's on Jalen because he's the one wearing the robe. He's the one who scored the touchdown. He's thinking, I think that according to the head coach, that he's not penalized for that because he's just standing there and someone put the robe on him. So when he does this second celebration going into the end zone, he gets a second 15-yard celebration penalty, and as you mentioned, was ejected, which is just, I don't know, like hilarious isn't the right word, but it was just like, well, if that's not the perfect like sideline story of this kid, is he wears a purple robe, he goes over backwards into the end zone, he's ejected. It's all completely by the rules and to be expected, but and then because of that, you end up missing an All-American against Serra in a game that really was supposed to be kind of your first playoff test.
We're going to bring on our reporter, Julian Lopez, to talk a little St. John Bosco football. Like we said, kind of predictable powerhouses. It wasn't outside the realm of possibility that Bosco would have a great season, but have losses to 2 top 5 teams in the country, St. Thomas Aquinas in the opener and Mater Dei a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and now they'll face a test in JSerra this week. JSerra started the year 7-0. They've lost 2 straight. Looking to bounce back, they have my guy, Al Fisher, the third, 975 yards and 11 touchdowns. So a good test for the Braves right before the end of the season.
Yeah, Al Fisher, local fans may remember, running back at Paramount, transferred to JSerra. A lot of those local kids going to JSerra, and JSerra got good real quick. They are number 6 in the state. Both of these teams are 7-2. So I think we're set up for a good challenge for Bosco. Something Bosco really hasn't had at the end of the season, right before playoffs, in a while. We always talk about how good the Trinity League teams are, and they're obviously great. But Bosco has finished their league with a big win for the last few years, and I just kind of don't see that coming. So it'll be very interesting to see how Bosco responds to a very close game at the end of the year.
And it's good you mentioned that, sort of the playoff, because it's going to be a playoff atmosphere. JSerra just finished up their stadium. They're coming off a tough overtime loss to Santa Margarita. It's going to be packed, and JSerra, they haven't beat Bosco ever. They're 0-10 lifetime, so those fans, it's going to be rowdy.
So those were the predictable powerhouses, the Poly and the Boscos of the world. Now we go to the secondary teams, the San Gabriel Valley League, the Suburban League, and you'll see teams like Mayfair and Paramount. Look at Mayfair in the Suburban League. All of a sudden, they look like the class of the league after years of playing in La Mirada shadow. Mayfair is number 3 in Division 3. They are 8-1 this year. They're taking on Glen on Friday, and if they can win that game, it will be their first outright Suburban League title since 2008. Under Derek Bedell, they are 15-2 in league play. Not too shabby.
That's really good. And the Monsoons' only loss was to Santa Margarita in Division 1, and they played them tough. So Mayfair looking to end that season strong right before playoff. They're one of the top teams in their division.
Yeah, they have the defense with a guy like Chris Adamora to get it done, and they have the running game with a guy like Trey Anderson to get it done. You can see a few games this year where Mayfair maybe didn't have their best going into some of these Suburban League teams, and they survived with strong defense and a strong running attack late in games. And as we all know, that's how you win high school football playoff games.
The Paramount Pirates, coming off of that big win over Gar, they're going to end the season on the road against Linwood, 8-1, 4-0, looking to wrap up that San Gabriel Valley League title.
Yeah, that would be their first outright since 2001. Mayfair and Paramount kind of having similar years. They've been in the shadow of La Mirada and Downey, and now they're getting their time to shine. Paramount number 2 in their division, Division 5, a much better division than some of the other teams in their league have to be in, but I think Paramount can definitely make a run in the playoffs because you can kind of see that they're prepared for it. They didn't really celebrate that much when they beat Gar. They celebrated a lot when they beat Downey. That was kind of getting the monkey off their back, but they're definitely ready to take the next step. They didn't play this season for a league title. They played this season for a playoff run.
Cedric Hood, he plays quarterback, he plays wide receiver, he plays safety, he does it all for the Pirates. And they also have the Gibson brothers, Tyrese, Tyree, amazing athletes.
Tyrese had one of the plays of the week, a SoCal Prep Legends play of the week, a pick 6 that ended with a hurdle over the quarterback. Not your average touchdown.
Hey guys, it's Matt Simon. I'm here to talk about the defending CIF champions, 2 private schools. We're going to start with Valley Christian, who's going into a league championship against Heritage Christian. Heritage Christian's actually 8-0 right now, and Valley Christian 7-2 coming off a big win against Whittier Christian, 67-14.
Crusaders just rolling right now. They have a lot of similar results than they did last year, which is exactly what you want if you're a defending CIF champion like Valley Christian is. Isaac Joseph, this is the time for him to take over. The quarterback has been the guy for them, and if he can continue to produce with that great running attack, I think they could just outscore people in that division and repeat as champs.
Next up, we have St. Anthony coming off their CIF title. They play St. Monica on Friday, ranked number 8 in Division 9. They're starting to get things going. 4-0 their last 4 games, and they're just looking to keep their game going and offensively and defensively.
St. Anthony finally healthy again this year, and it's happening at the perfect time so they can try to repeat as Santa Fe League champions. And again, like we said about the Crusaders over at Valley Christian, repeat as CIF champions. We already talked about Poly, but the rest of the Moore League is also in action. Cabrillo is at Lakewood. Wilson is at Compton, where the Bruins need a win to stay in 3rd place and set themselves up for the playoffs. But the game of the week is Milliken hosting Jordan because the Rams have a chance to do something they haven't done since 1986.
Yeah, these Rams are definitely exciting. Looking for their first 8-win season since 1986. They're led by first-year coach Justin Utupo, who has really gotten these guys going. Offensively, they have Keanu Campbell, Caldwell, and then in the backfield, they have Kwan Campbell, who these guys really have this offense churning, and the defense is led by Nick Lombardi, your guy.
Yeah, Nick Lombardi is my guy. He is the Rudy of the Moore League, 5'0", 100 but he has all the athletic ability he needs to be top 5 in tackles in the Moore League. QCC, the quarterback, also really showing how much he's grown this year. The game's slowing down for him. He had 6 touchdowns in that second place game against Wilson last weekend. He's looking for another big one statistically this weekend to keep his confidence high rolling into the playoffs.
For coverage of all of those games live on Friday night, make sure and follow us on Twitter at PT Gazette Sports and check us out on Facebook, Long Beach Gazette Sports Plus Press Telegram. And of course, Sunday is bracket day, one of our favorite days of the year. Every year, you're going to want to check out those social media outlets as well for live coverage on Sunday from the CIF office to find out where your team is going to be playing. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors, including Papalucci's, a phenomenal place to eat down on 2nd Street. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you in the stands.